All right, safe. Let's go for it.
Well, Chris, what would you, if I had asked what defines you, what would you say defines you?
Oh, mate, who knows? Who knows? Sense of humor, perhaps. Some might say. Some might not. Hard to tell.
Do you have any of those?
Some might go, that guy's a twat. Other people might go, that guy's a funny twat.
You know what? I was talking to a homeless man one time and I was like, here's $1. I'm sorry that you're homeless. And he goes, homeless? I'm an expert minimalist. I'm like, you're fucking genius, man. I was like,
legends.
If you freaking flip that coin, I was like, you can really spin it. Like some people think I'm batshit crazy. Others think I'm a visionary, but I like to look at the positives.
Exactly. That's a fucking great answer, that, isn't
it? What would you say? Because
Well,
I know I found you through your podcast, for instance. What made you decide you wanted to talk to people about their favorite bar spots?
Mate, we were bored. So the situation in the old United Kingdom, we're taking you back, by the way, it's just a matter of time, is that all the pubs were shut, right? Which was fucking mental. Like, how do you cope with shut pubs? Yeah. And the first month you sort of power through it. The second month you start to have withdrawal. And the third month, well, if we can't do the pub, we'll do the next best thing. So we'd have a few drinks and jump online. And that's how it came about.
Yeah, I know a lot of people were freaking out, especially down here when they did lockdown, everything, bars shut down. They did not shut down liquor stores. And people are like, why the fuck would you shut down liquor stores? I was like, so the hospitals don't have to waste their beds on people dealing with withdrawal from fucking alcohol. Like,
yeah, but for every person like that, there's people that need a drink at the end of the week because it's shit and you can't go to work and it's if you know, for every example of that, there's an example of safe drinking, good drinking. Because I guess for you it's 21. What state are you in, Robbie?
21. That's for most states in 21. America.
Wow. Okay, cool. Yeah, that's you got a long wait, boy.
I'm 23, so I'm good.
You're 23. Oh, you're good. Oh, safe. That's all right then.
Yeah.
I feel I feel less stressed now, Robbie, because I'm going to be honest with you. If you look at your Twitter messages,
they're all dumb as shit.
You might see a typo that had me panicked, brother.
What did you do? What did I do?
I'm going to read it out now because I can fucking relax now, mate.
Is it my tweet?
Fucking hell, mate. I was stressed. Oh, mate, I'm fucking chill as fuck now.
Why were you stressed?
I had, right.
Did I get canceled already?
Right, you went, I messaged a while ago today, my recording day, and then you put, I'm 15, and only 3 in 10 minutes.
I'm 15 recordings in.
Well, now it makes sense. I was like, fuck, I'm dangerously close to looking like a dodgy...
No, God, no. You're not picking me up at a bar.
Well, mate, when you came on, I was like, fuck me, puberty hit this cunt hard. And now...
I fell down some stairs.
Oh, brother, that is so much better. I'm fucking chill now.
I'm 23, man. I just freaking.
Oh, well, that's good then.
About 16 hours in recording. I'm gonna need some whiskey after these. That's why I was hoping you keep it light and entertaining,
mate. Please tell me you drink Wild Turkey because that's the fucking best whiskey out there.
Kentucky Gentleman is what I'm on. I mix it with a Slurpee. I'm a fucking child when it comes to alcohol. But let me tell you something. You put it in like a nice root beer float, bro. You're sipping. Next thing you know, you're waking up like, what the hell happened?
Whiskey root beer. That sounds fucking lush.
I'm just like, if it's cheap, I'm not a big, like, want to go out and party and drink guy, but I understand it. Cause I saw a picture today, some person, cause we're about, like, they're talking about the third spike and all this. I live in a beach town, bro. So like my whole town is bars, clubs, everything. That's how we make our money. And they shut down during summer, which was our avenue for like, that was our revenue right there. And we missed a big opportunity for tourists. And I saw a person put up a picture today of like a coffee mug and they were like, finally, I'm going out to a restaurant. It's like things are starting to look up. And I'm like, man, people talk about, they don't even want to go to bars anymore because going out, they got to mask up. And it's just very, very difficult because you're more worried about following regulations so you don't get kicked out rather than just drinking and having fun with your friends. You know what I mean?
Ross, so here's one thing. I'd be interested to know your opinion on this. So the hot news at the moment over here in Blighty is, so our vaccination output's going quite well. I think 30 million people have been done, which is pretty fucking impressive. And we were like, well, we didn't expect that. Well played. And the current thing, they're talking about vaccination passports, right? So if you want to go to the pub or clubbing or whatever the fuck you want to do, you're gonna have to prove you've had a vaccine. And they were like, well, that's cool and everything, but what about people like us in our 20s? I'm 25. It was like, how the fuck is that fair? So everyone who's had their vaccines in their 50s, early 50s, they can go out and live however they want in society, but we have to remain indoors, have our freedom curtailed. But also, where do you draw the line? Where do you then say, right, back to normal now, everyone's vaccinated? Is there a middle ground? What do you think on that?
I think it gets really, really weird when you start looking at the fact that they're making people live in fear on the aspect of like, people are like, I want to just be able to hug my grandma again. And I'm like, why the fuck are you not hugging your grandma already? Like, are you infected? So your fear is spreading it, even though you've been locked inside your house. And you're supposed to quarantine the people that are sick, not quarantine the people that are healthy, which is like, I work at a gym as a day job. So I come in contact with probably the places you would find it the most. I haven't gotten it yet. I take my vitamins and stuff. I'm very fitness freak type of guy. But the issue of you're deciding the elderly should get it because they're the first ones, but it's all coming in different waves. And then I'm just like, you're just keeping people in fear, keeping people anxious, and then you're giving so much room for conspiracy talk. And I'm like, you're not making it any fucking better. You're telling me the third spike, none of these vaccines are going to protect. And I'm like, oh my God, I can get it. And it's just so crazy now because everything, I'm at 740 something episodes. So it's like I talked to 740 people and everybody wants to talk about coronavirus. It's like, Jesus Christ. It's like, I get it. It's on everybody's mind.
I'll happily not. Trust me, I'll happily not. I fucking hate it. I think it's a shambles. I think it's disturbingly Orwellian the way it's all gone about.
So much of this world, like I think there's positives people have taken out of it when it comes to finding yourself. Like even you guys starting a podcast during it all too. But there's so much damage that's been done when it comes to like people just are at each other's throats all the time now. Like back in the day, I remember going to a bar and seeing a fight happen. Now everything happens over fucking Twitter. You know, you're seeing people argue and yell because they're getting drunk at home and then decide to hop on social media, which I'm probably at fault with. If you look at a lot of my tweets, you'd be like, that dude's fucking plastered. But I mean, I remember here's an incident. It's at a bar, for instance. There's a local place called Fishtails that shut down during coronavirus. When they were first trying to figure out to make sure they can make things work, they created giant inner tubes that you would stand in the middle of and it would bump people away from you like 6 feet.
Oh, that's fucking cool.
No, because people got really drunk and they started bumping people off the docks and stuff into the water. And it was a very, very bad, like cops getting called and shit. But I remember what they would do is if they confiscated your ID for having a fake ID at the bar, they would take your ID and they would laminate it onto a bar stool. And one night, a guy had like been drinking, got up and he looks down at his stool to see the faces of the people's IDs. And he goes, holy shit, that's my daughter. And he starts freaking out, wanting to grab. So he was sitting on his daughter's face the whole time. So he was freaking out to grab her bar stool and he wanted to take it home with him. And the security had to stop him and everything like that. And he was fighting and wanted to sue and all this stuff. But that was just the funniest thing to hear some guy get up and go, that's my fucking daughter. I'm like, yo, you were sitting on your daughter's face, man.
That's such a good idea with his rings as well. Fair play, Fishtails. You fucking nailed it.
You probably have an experience like that with a bar.
Well, fake IDs here aren't that big of a thing. Like,
or just a special memory, I'd say.
Oh God, yeah, man, definitely. I mean, I'm in the sort of grew up in the sort of UK equivalent of ding 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 ding. Like nowhere quite as insane.
That fucking banjo was perfect. That was good. I'll give you that.
Like the rural equivalent of like we have, like what do you call a cider? Because I know sometimes our American guests call a cider like an apple juice drink or apple tea.
Yeah, I call it a apple cider maybe.
Or alcoholic.
I don't drink them, but I'm pretty sure you can make them alcoholic. Yeah.
Cool. So here,
you can buy it at Food Line, and I don't think a lot of places, at least in my area, don't sell liquor at Food Line. You have to walk to an actual liquor store for that.
When I went years ago, when I was in New York State, and when I was in Vancouver and Banff, cider was non-alcoholic. It was like apple tea. And that really fucked on me because for us, cider is an alcoholic drink, right?
It's like the placebo effect. You're drinking it thinking you're getting drunk, and then they're like, there's no alcohol in it. And you're like, what?
Yeah, and you're like, how am I going to cope with society today? It's a nightmare.
I was planning on drinking and driving. Now you're telling me I'm just going to be driving? What's the fun in that?
Exactly. And there, we do like cider farms. So you ferment apples, turns into alcohol, you get pissed. And they sell it in jugs, and it's insane. I've never had someone stand up and go, hey, you sat on my daughter's face. I have seen, I did know a farmer who used to drink, so it'd be on his tractor ploughing a field, and they had this bottle of whiskey. About 3 hours in, the bottle of whiskey was empty. So these, you've got a guy in charge of a 5-ton tractor machine, pissed as a fart. That's quite something. But yeah, no, I've never had someone. I've had, Rod Stewart, the singer.
Yeah.
At our local pub, there was a Rod Stewart tribute act.
What?
That's a career, isn't it? That's a brave decision.
It's like being an Elvis impersonator. Everyone knows who you are.
Exactly. And this guy turns up, and they didn't give him a fee, right? So they said, look, you can have all the free drinks you want. The guy proceeds to get fucked on JD and Coke, like fuck, to the point where he's supposed to be singing Rod Stewart tribute songs. The dude can barely stand. And he starts flirting with my mate's mum.
Oh shit.
Yeah, my mate's furious. He's like, what the fuck? Stop flirting with your mum. He's drunk. Rod Stewart is drunk. Going, here, beautiful. Anyway, my mate throws a punch. Next thing you know, we're all involved in a punch-up with the Rod Stewart tribute act.
Jesus.
So, yeah. That one.
I'm the type of guy that I just like to get a little bit of a buzz. I don't like to get pissed out drunk. I just can't. Because especially I've had friends that go, we're going to pregame to this concert. We get to the concert, not even started yet. I get front row, get ready. I'm like, all right, people are going to start coming in here about 30 minutes early. Chick throws up right behind me. I mean, she's in our group and all her friends like, we got to go because she's getting kicked out because she threw up. I'm like, you guys fucking go. Yeah, I'm going to watch this concert. Problem. I paid fucking, I'm not, there's no way. And they got mad at me. I was like, there's no fucking way I'm leaving because you got drunk. And then my buddy goes, dude, come on. She threw up. And I was like, that's your girlfriend. You go handle that. I'm going to watch this show and enjoy the rest of the show. Cause I'm like, people, especially when, I agree. Once you start, it's so hard to keep the party going. I was watching a video on YouTube. A guy's like, let's have a backyard rager. And it's him. Like he's doing bring out the cornhole, bring out the dart, like the basic shit you do when you're drunk and you're watching a movie or some shit. You see the guys doing the party with the cornhole and all that. They're playing, you know what cornhole is?
No, I'm just thinking corn dog.
No, it's like it's like a little board with circles in it, and you have to throw it at a distance and try and slide it into the hole as it hits. I'll send you a picture of it so it'll better explain it. But he's out there playing it, drinking beers in his backyard, open up a cooler. It's full of like natural lights, like the shittiest beer you could possibly get. And then he's like, let's play darts. And then he's like throwing darts and he's got one in his fucking knee somehow. And he's like, oh my God, how did that get there? And then it's like, it's stereotypical. Let's order a pizza. Well, not too much pizza. Remember, we're going out tonight. You're right. Let me get 14 pizzas. And then they eat like half of the first pizza and they go, we ordered too much food. And he goes, no, I'm good, man. I'll be good. I'm not going to drink anymore. I'm fine. We'll be able to go out tonight. Fucking in bed by 8 p.m. I was like, that's everyone in this fucking lockdown of like, I'm going to, have a great night tonight. They're in fucking bed at 6 and depressed and wake up feeling like shit.
I've done that, right? So we've got, I don't know how familiar you are with rugby.
Yeah.
Right, it's like NFL, but not for wet jobs.
Yeah, no helmets and shit, real shit.
And we have a tournament called the Six Nations, and we were watching that, and they kick off at midday. So we were having Guinness for breakfast, another Guinness, got through 4 Guinnesses, and we got into the ale. We had 15 cans of that. And then I got drunk. And next thing you know, vodka was ordered. And the next thing I remember was I am guilty. I am that man asleep at 6 o'clock. And that is purely because of the early drinking. So I'm guilty of that, mate.
Have you ever thought about like using the podcast, but like trying to talk to people who own some of the breweries nearby and like maybe hook up with like a sponsor. You know, your podcast could be sponsored.
Well, mate, well, funny you mentioned that because our podcast drops, our new series drops on Friday, and we have a sponsor. Yeah, people find out about that on Friday. We've kept that one under wraps, but it's all being revealed on Friday. And it's a gin company in a place called Cornwall.
Damn, gin.
Yeah, gin. Yeah, gin. G&T.
You ever
tea is in a cup of tea because it wouldn't be Britain, would it, without that?
You ever look at people and then try and figure out what type of drink they do? Like there's certain people that drink gin, like certain types drink gin.
Yeah, mostly women here. I don't know what it's like in the States, but a lot of women drink gin here.
About 50-year-old guys that probably have nobody near them that loves them is probably the type that drinks gin. At least in the States over here. Martinis are more of like a girl type thing, I would say. That we might get canceled for even saying that. You can't say that. That's beer's like an overall everybody drinks it. But let me tell you something. Nothing beats a nice fucking White Russian or Bloody Mary. Bro, you put Old Bay and Bloody Mary. Let me tell you something. My dad has the best recipe for that, where I'm like, this is very, very good. He's like, you're 14. Why are you drinking that? I'm like, oh. Thought it tasted so good. He's like, you know that feeling you're getting in the back of your head right now? I'm like, yeah. He goes, don't ever experience that. That's bad for you.
It's fair. Are you worried about being cancelled, right? So I think I know the answer. Have you ever heard of a Yorkie bar? Right.
Peppermint patty?
No, not York Peppermint Patty, just Yorkie bar. So York, like New York, and then IE, so Yorkie, right? And they've changed it now, but all my growing up, everywhere in England, telly, posters, whole advertisement campaign, Yorkie, it's not for girls. And the fucking logo was, like a lady's picture on a toilet of a black figure with a dress, like a triangle dress, like a lady's image with an X across it. And that was like, yeah, cool. That's how we advertise that chocolate bar. Mental. Doesn't run anymore, but yeah, man, nuts. Yorkie bar, have a look, it'll blow your mind.
It's like when coronavirus first started, the coronavirus or the Corona bottle company, they stopped producing bottles. They start distilling it because they thought too many people were going to start looking at it like, oh my god, coronavirus, and they were going to do that link, and I was like, you guys are going to have to rebrand. Like, imagine.
I don't know if I trust that, right? I think that's because I don't, but I mean, there are some fucking idiots about, right? But I don't think people are that idiotic. I genuinely don't think people are that stupid. Oh my god, it's
bullshit! I just saw a literal tweet. Something was trending. It was a picture, and a dude had stuck 20 toy horses up his ass. 20 little small miniature toy horses up his ass. And he had to go to the ER. Just decided I'm on board of shit. Like, how many people during lockdown did you see these videos of a guy that would have cheese and he would throw it behind him and it hit somebody in the face? A fucking square little slice of cheese. People get bored during lockdown. You line up 20 horses and say
people get bored during lockdown, but people don't think, right, let's see how many equines I can get at my anus. Like, people aren't that fucking bored, Robbie, mate.
I bet you. That's how Jackass started.
He was clearly like into some weird kinky shit. I was high as fuck. It'll be one or the other.
Have you ever tried sitting on an egg without breaking it? You ever tried sitting on an egg without breaking it?
No.
That's a fun party game.
Right, I'll give it a go. People locked on lifted.
The weird part is when someone can pick it up with their ass cheeks and then stand up, and you're like, "Oh my god, bow down to this man." He's got those Richard Simmons videos.
I don't think with that corona, people. I don't think people actually. I think that's cynical marketing. That's people going, "Oh yeah, better get your corona now because we're making less bottles of it." Because that makes you think, "Oh fuck, they might not make corona anymore." So you go and buy corona beer. Now, I genuinely think this is done more for, because I always buy Corona beer now just for a laugh.
You can look it up. They stopped distilling it for a while. They stopped bottling it and all that. I don't know if they kickstarted it back up considering when everything reopened, but a lot of it was like, I mean, a lot of beer companies shut down too. I think big markets took a lot of hits, but the weird part is like, I think this is going to cause people to want to cover their drinks more. So it actually might kill the Bill Cosby thing. Like people, my cousin, for instance, I had to pick him up at the hospital because he got his stomach pumped. This was just over the summer. Not this, I guess was it this past summer or the year before? Whenever it was not affected by coronavirus. So it might have been the year before. But he got a stomach pump because some girl had slipped a Mickey or whatever those pills into his drinks, and he blacked out, and we found him in the hospital getting his stomach pumped.
Like, mate, it's a problem, man. We have it on this podcast. For at least 4 times, people have had that shit happen to them.
Oh my God, I didn't know it was that big of an issue.
Yeah, man. Yeah, well, this unfortunately is club culture a little bit. I think people. Yeah, I mean, I would never take a drink off a stranger. I mean,
well, no, just like even turning around. My cousin didn't accept any drinks. He just turned around from his drink for a second and someone slipped it into his thing. The weird part is they did a social experiment. When a guy did it to a girl, people would stop and say, hey, that guy just drugged your drink. But when a girl did it to a guy, nobody said shit. And I was like, it's the same fucking thing, but it's just how this world works with how our mind works when we see genders and stuff. And I'm like, man, it's necessarily like it's both sides. They have some shit that goes on, one on one side, one on the other side. You know, whenever there's justice for Johnny Depp, they ruled in her favor rather than Johnny Depp. That was a big thing. If anybody wants to get drunk and fucking angry, call somebody, call that judge's house.
Yeah, man. I mean, I don't know. Have you got the little stoppers? They handed it out at our university, right? They're fucking great. You stick them down the neck of the bottle, and you can't get anything down the bottle. Yeah, fucking genius. They're like a penny, right? They're fucking little bits of plastic.
Can you still drink out of it?
Yeah.
So water can go up it, just not down it.
You got it. So you can't get a pill in. You can't get any drink in. Genius. Now let's just say right from now on, every time I open a club, that's it. Tough tits. You use them, and if you don't like it, go to a different club.
You know, there's one guy walking around with like an open glass, like, anybody want any takers? Any takers want to drug my drink? I'm looking for a fun night. That's how you wake up in a bathtub with
panic and LSD hallucinations.
That's how you wake up in a bathtub with your kidneys missing.
Oh, mate, fucking that shit's scary.
That's no joke. I just got an email about that, and I mentioned it to my doctor. I was like, I just got this weird email of like your kidneys are worth like $8,000, your eyes are worth $300, and your lungs are worth like 270 something. And she goes, yeah, I saw that email too. That's some weird stuff. I'm like, is that fucking true? Because why am I doing a podcast when I could just cut out some lungs and fucking sell that shit?
Yeah, still $8,000. That's not that much to lose a kidney.
You got 2 of them. I
wouldn't make that trade, mate. I wouldn't make that trade.
You're gonna pee sideways, but let me tell you something. You'll still be okay. You got $8,000.
So how lucky are you being by the beach? And are you in the fortuitous position where you can go pick up a spliff? Or is that still a no-no?
What, as marijuana?
Mm-hmm.
That's
is it legal where you are?
That's been I wouldn't say
lucky.
I don't think it's generally legal down here. I think it's like non-decriminalized. So it's like you can kind of do it, and you got to make sure you're not like selling it or distributing it out. But we have dispensaries down here. It's pretty common. I mean, before, you know, like people do edibles all the time. I mean, I've talked to infusion chefs on here too. It's pretty common. I think you wouldn't expect it a lot, especially beach life. Down here, man, it's like people getting drunks and like, let's go on a fucking boat. And I'm like, Jesus Christ. Like, that's where the most accidents happen, is where bar clubs down here. Isn't it? What?
Yeah, it's just dumb. Why would you mix? You wouldn't mix booze and machines. Why would you mix drugs and machines?
Well, like I remember I used to work at a jet ski company. It's actually where I had like a severe jet ski accident. I was hit by a jet ski. Lucky I wasn't killed. But so many people, like, we would do rentals for boats and pontoon boats, and people like college kids want to, like, especially fucking bachelorette parties. They're all wearing dick hats on a fucking pontoon boat going, look at our dick hats. I'm like, fuck off. But they're getting hammered, and they would drive up to the Secrets, which is like a bar / radio station, but the bar is open on the beach. So you can just drive right up to it. And people would drive up there, then they wouldn't come back with the boat when they were supposed to be back. So we'd have to go out on jet skis and basically repo the boat back. Like, you would come across crazy shit, but one terrible accident that happened a dad was getting drunk on a pontoon boat. You're not supposed to be drinking and driving, car, boat, no matter what.
What's a pontoon boat? Sorry.
So it's a giant flat boat, basically fit like a barge to hold a lot of people. Like people would take it if they're going to be out on the water all day doing like water activities or something. And
Cool.
he brought his family out there. Like I think it was his daughter and like 2 sons or something. And fucking they were hanging off the front of the boat. So the pontoon boat is low enough. It doesn't go up like a normal bow. It's low enough that it's like flat. So you can dangle your feet and have your toes touch the water. Well, dad was drunk, fucking ran right over his daughter and his son. They fell off the front and fucking killed the daughter and just mutilated the boy. And we heard about this, and like serious water restrictions started happening because people would go out on boats and then just die. Like an old man would have a heart attack and be out in the middle of the thing. They would find his boat later, or some dude would go missing, gets drunk, falls off his fucking boat. I'm like, how many people are dying per year on these fucking boats? Some dude's just like, I'm going to go fucking catch me a marlin. And you're like, it's 1 a.m. Fuck it.
It's better to fish at night. Marlins are attracted to light. All right.
You don't understand the marlin mating habits,
Marlins,
man.
Dude, fucking sort it out, man. I got this electric generator and a bulb, and I put it in the water. What's the worst that can happen?
Fucking electrocutes himself, dude. I'm telling you, it's intense because you got to have a respect for it. But like, I think the worst thing is during the summer, you see people all the time that are just walking home drunk because we have tourists down here. So people that come from Florida, people that come from Jersey, people that come from Virginia, New York, all the major hot spots of places, they all come here. And man, it's difficult because everyone gets ballsy when they get drunk, and that's okay when you're involved in it. But like, I remember riding my bike home when I was like 15 one time. Fucking dude just stops and goes, "You looking at me funny?" And just wants to fight me. I'm like, bro, what the fuck? And then not even a second after, I'm like, fuck off, man. And I drive past him. Fucking car pulls out, hits my back tire. I face plant right onto the ground. Shit happens, man. Like down here, especially like now that I'm older, I mean, I look back, I'm like, why did my parents let me out without a curfew? Like I was skating at the boardwalk, like around town at 2 a.m. Like fucking kids should be in bed, but no, just fucking, as long as you come home, I'm okay with you going out. I'm like, all right.
No, I think that's the right way. I think that's the right approach. I think your parents got that right.
I think
you learn that way. It's better to learn from mistakes and interactions with other people. It builds your confidence. It builds you as a person. To constantly be mollycoddled, and then you're not prepared. You're not ready to adapt to the real world when it comes.
It definitely instills, like, since I had so much freedoms because they always kind of trusted me in that aspect. I never did anything intense or crazy. Like I never snuck out of the house or tried to do anything like that. I was just like, yeah, are you going out tonight? Nah, not really. Like I just didn't feel the need to if I didn't want to. You know what I mean? If I wanted to hang out with friends and skateboard, I knew where I was going. I'm just going to go to a parking garage and skate down the parking garage. That's fun as shit, dude. You can't knock that. It's good times.
Yeah. You know, I think that's the right way to do it, mate. I really do.
Not getting drunk and talk about politics like everybody has to fucking do.
Oh, no one has to do that. No one has to do that.
Everyone
you go to the
over
wrong
here
parties.
Does it. Everyone over here does it. Someone gets drunk and starts going, "Oh, you're a Trump lover." It's like, oh, shut up, man. Just like, why the fuck does this have to get brought into this?
Seems to be the discord there, doesn't it? And it's like it's no grey area anymore. It's I'm that. I mean, especially with the American system, I'm afraid. It's so like there's no middle ground. It appears. I mean, coming from an outside eye, it's just so like, so just fucking relax, everybody. Like I don't know how you feel about gun control, but from the outside eye, it's fucking mental, you lot, that you can go and do that. And
well,
the people that
you guys have
defend
knife
it with
issues
such
too.
Yeah, we got knife issues, but we don't go into the fucking supermarket and go, "I'll have one of those, please," and 7 rounds of bullets.
Yeah, there should be a better gun check on that, though.
There 100% should, and I mean, being wedded to the Constitution in such a way where it can't be changed. It's like, of course it fucking can. It's a Jim Jeffries bit, isn't it? It was put in there so that you could usurp your government should it be required. But there's no way fucking Billy Bob Johnson from Idaho is coming up against a fucking. Oh, you don't? Oh, mate.
I had his writer for the show on, and I still didn't. He kept dropping his name. I'm like, I don't fucking know who Jim Jeffries is.
Check him out. He's a New Zealand comic, and he's Fucking
That already
amazing.
sounds awful.
It's great, man. He's great. He's a legend.
I like Craig Ferguson.
There,
Craig Ferguson's good.
Oh, he's the Scot that does.
Yeah.
Did you do one of your late nights?
Yeah.
I think. He is a pretty good guy, to be fair. Yeah, he is. I like him. How do you feel about James Corden? Because we are delighted that he's now your problem. That says it all. That face says thousand words.
That took a minute to sink in. I'll give you that one. That's a tough one. Not a fan, to be honest with you.
Well, there we are.
Carpool karaoke was like, Jesus Christ. Last thing I want to hear is celebrities talk about their feelings, and I got to hear them singing in a Katy Perry song.
Who else of you guys? Trevor Noah. We quite like him.
I do like Trevor Noah.
He's pretty cool. And John Oliver.
John Oliver's pretty good.
He's fucking sick. And he, weirdly enough, he's a lot more famous in the States than he is here. Here, there's like old footage of him doing like stand-up comedy shows, and people are like, "Oh my god!" And you're like, "Yes."
I still
we didn't appreciate him.
I still enjoy the In-Betweeners. That is one of my favorite shows.
Good
classic.
My
buddy's his dad's from London, so I used to hang out with him a lot, so I learned a lot about what it's like to have a parent that is from the UK, because smoking in the house is natural. And especially, I remember eating a third bowl of like Cheerios, and he's like, "That's your third bowl, huh?" And I'm like, "You just made me feel like shit." Like I was 10 years old, made me feel like dog shit about myself.
Man, yeah, I'm in London now. It's actually surprisingly sunny and there is no rain, so it's quite unnerving.
Did it get a little bit weird over there after that Oprah interview came out? Because like people were stunned. People were stunned that like that was happening over there, and I was like, "No shit, it happens everywhere."
No, they weren't. I mean, Americans made it. They did. You famously don't like the Royals.
Well, mental health a little bit does get not really talked about over there, just because it's seen a little bit differently. But I've talked to a few people who are mental health coaches in the UK, and they talk about that it's getting better. And I'm like, everyone got to understand, everyone experiences fucking depression and shit like that. It's just finding a better way to cope with it. Depends on where you're at, honestly. Like some people have better.
It's very difficult, I'm afraid, to empathize with someone who elected to move abroad into a mansion rented by a billionaire, married to a billionaire. I've got no time for it. People have been genuinely struggling, have lost their jobs, have had friends commit suicide, have had friends die of coronavirus, and I'm afraid I care very little for the opinions of the idle rich. So there you are, interviewed by a lady who, while wonderful, is herself a billionaire.
I don't like Oprah.
Granted, the issues raised were fine, but until you can have that discord with the general population, and all it turned into was, "I believe in Meghan. I think the Queen's a racist." It wasn't fucking about that. No one about that. In many ways, in regards to the royal family, their opinions are irrelevant because they elected to leave.
Yeah. See, I didn't know. So many people I've talked to that are from the UK have talked about, like, I didn't realize a lot of people hated the royal family. I thought, because everything we see over here is like that they're always in the magazines, like the Queen is awesome.
I'd say no, I love them. I'm a massive royalist. I love the Queen. I love them. I think they're brilliant. I'm not a hater at all. I do question why someone feels it's okay when brought up in a life of privilege that we fund, by the way, with our tax money. I pay for that palace that Harry lived in. I pay for his security. You've chosen to leave that all behind. Fair play to you, be your own person. But you don't then get to comment. You don't then get to have an opinion and slag off the very people that have funded your entire life. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, it really hits down an aspect of things too, because I think the same thing we experience with our government. Like a lot of people are like very upset about how things have turned out. I think especially during lockdown, much like you might be feeling a little bit too, is like, do I not have freedoms? Do I not have certain things when it comes? That's our whole giant thing down here where everyone's like, where's your freedom of speech? I'm like, that's why everyone's fighting right now, is because it's being shown that they can take that away without us saying jack shit.
Yes.
And that's a scary thing. That is very scary for a lot of people.
I celebrated when there was, look how stupid America is going out and getting together. And I was like, no, fucking fair play to them. There's 100% their right to go out and do that. There's 100%. And I'll be really controversial here. I watched those Capitol riots going, ooh, fucking hell. But I also went, well, there we are. Because sometimes that's what you need to finally listen to people. And I'm not saying it was right, not at all. But people in privileged positions are constantly telling you what you can and can't do, and they never listen to the downtrodden and the oppressed. And until something like that happens, they never will.
Well, it's
violence is not the way, but the fact that you can do it needs to be 100% protected, and it sets a very dangerous precedent when you try to curtail that.
Well, it's so crazy because this is probably the most media exposure that at least our United States has gotten in past recorded history, at least at most closest to our government when it comes to like how sketchy or maybe there's an Illuminati that's out there. And I'm like looking at it, I'm like, so many people are controlling shit that don't understand what it's like to have to open up the fucking oven door because your house is cold and you need to heat it. Like these people are coming from like a very wealthy background, not knowing anything about what we're dealing with, and they're making laws without talking to the people that are involved in these industries. So recently, I don't know if this is going to hit the UK, but this is pretty big over here. March 28th was a vape ban sale. I don't know if you've heard about this, but now they cannot ship you e-juices for your vapes. So every company online shut down in the US when it came to selling e-vape stuff. Okay, that's not happening anymore. That means we're not shipping overseas to you. We're not doing any of that. You can ship to us, maybe, but your package might be confiscated if it's found out to have vape juice in it. That's non-nicotine. That's anything. So many places went out of business because of this thing that they slipped in our COVID bill. Yeah, we get $1,400, which they dazzled in front of us, but they didn't look at the details of all the shit they slept
Yeah, but there
through.
must have been a reason why they've done that. There must be logic behind that decision, isn't there? There must be.
Some people that feel like vapes are causing very hazardous, because all the articles that come out about vapes being bad and stuff. And I'm like, there's no difference when you look at companies like hair, whatever spray companies. Sticky lung is a thing from when our parents in the 80s used to spray hairspray in their fucking hair, get that inhaled into their lungs. Sadly, some idiots decided to make fake vape juice and then fucking smoke it and then get something wrong in their lungs. I'm like, if you buy it from a reputable dealer, it's like getting alcohol. They can sell you enough alcohol to kill yourself. But what about fucking vape juice? Didn't make any sense to me.
So you can't get vape juice, is that what you're saying?
Can't order off anywhere after March 28th, which was a couple days ago.
But you can go to a shop and pick it up.
You can go to a shop and pick it up, but no company can mail it to
you.
Well,
then I'm afraid I'm with them then, because in theory you could set up a company. I could set up a company, fit it with whatever the fuck, and call it Chris's Vape Juice. Bish bash bosh.
Well, you gotta.
What you just said there, you go to a reputable dealer.
You're going to a reputable dealer on. But here's the thing, though. I spent $40 on 600 milliliters of vape juice. When I go to a store and spend $40, I get 60. So 600 to 60. The price options. Now their companies down here are going to jack their prices up. And also USPS, United States Postal Service, is now upping their fees. They're not going to do rush delivery, 3-day delivery anymore. It's going to be an average of under 7 days. And it's going to be like a $40 flat fee. They're going to jack their prices up, all just because they can, because now you're the only option.
Welcome to America. Welcome to capitalism.
That fucking sucks.
I'm afraid it's what it's always been about. It's money that's the true religion in the States. It's money.
Shouldn't you be able to just have enough to where you can survive rather than try and make people broke by working countless hours and not even be able to afford the home that they live in? That's fucking nuts to me.
I agree, but you try bringing up the C word in any conversation in a group of
there's a C word that's going in my head right now, but it's not good over here.
Well, I don't mean cunt. I mean communism, but they have the same effect on most Americans.
Currency.
But it is. You try and bring up that C word in a social setting. People look at you like you're a pariah, and you're like, well, hang on a second and understand at least mildly the cost. I mean, you see those YouTube videos. They go mental. They're like, don't you know that Venezuela, that's socialist and millions are dying? And you're like, yes, I agree, but I'm not advocating for that. I'm advocating for some ideals that brings. Two different things. You can't see past it because, like we touched on earlier, it's either this camp or this camp. Never any middle ground.
Yeah. Well, it's hard because...
How many people do you know, that you come across that fuck everyone else, I'd love to be a millionaire? Yeah. And they will walk all over you, stay under the bus until that attitude changes. We're fucked here, we're fucked here, we're fucked.
I think it's a factor of community and kind of conversation, like when it boils down to things. I'm like, a lot of people don't really care about a lot of people because they don't ever talk to those people. But let's say your house burns down and you're sitting in front of your house. Do you want a bunch of people, neighbors that you don't know, to walk over and just film you because they don't fucking care about you? They're just going to watch the house burn? Or when you used to go back in the day and ask for a cup of sugar, that cup of sugar was to get to know your fucking neighbor. And I'm at fault to not want to know my fucking neighbor. But when it comes down to like why we pay taxes, I found out they pay for our fire department. Fuck, go ahead. Because I would hate to watch my neighbor's house burn down. Even if I don't talk to my neighbor, I would try my best to be able to help that person. And that's not me saying it because it's fucking being recorded. It's an aspect of having a care for the community that we were in. Because it's not really about caring about yourself. Once you care about your community, you get drunk with the fucking people around you. You create a more positive community because you understand everybody. I guarantee you that you've had these moments with your friends where you guys get drunk. You don't know exactly what's said, but you know that memory forever. You know, you have it like every time you look at that person, you're like, that's my fucking brother. Like I've had those moments before and I don't remember even half of the night. I did we drank White Russians, and every time during Django, he would say the N-word, we would take a shot. And I got about 10 minutes in and I was fucking blasted. And then, you know, but I don't remember that night, but I remember like just something like looking at my friend. I'm like, yeah, that was a good fucking night. I know you're like my brother, dude. You care about me.
Nice. No, we've all had it, man. We've all had it drunk, definitely, for certain. But yeah, I mean, I think one of the only positives that's come out of this whole fucking COVID thing is people have talked to people, their neighbours, the woman up the street, the fellow up the road. Just try to engage a bit more, and hopefully that remains. Because dialogue is the only way to move forward, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, even if you find out your neighbor's a dick, you still found out your neighbor's a dick. It's a positive. You know, you still get to know some people. At least you know he's not a psychopath. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Or he's a very good one and's hidden it well.
Wait a minute. Where's my cat? Where's my cat?
Exactly.
Well, Chris, man, you've given me plenty of your time there, man. Is there anything else maybe on your mind, anything you want to talk about, or do you just want to promote the podcast, let people know where they can find you?
Yeah, I'll do a podcast promotion for certain. No, nothing on my mind other than be nice to people. Let's all be nice to one another. That's the only way we're going to get through it. So you can listen to us at the Podcrawl Pubcast on Twitter and on Instagram. And you can probably type that into Google and find us on Linktree, where you can listen to all our episodes. Hooray!
Any ones in particular that you like the most?
There is, but I would never mention those on air because they're all special to me.
Like that answer. Okay, all right. Respect. We're going to talk off air about it, though.
Yeah. We're going to slag them off ruthlessly, yeah.
Well, Chris, thank you for joining me on this episode Out of the Blanket. Stay tuned for our next.
Nice one, Robbie. It's been a pleasure, mate. It genuinely has. Thank you very much.